Hi, I'm Rod Solar, and the topic of this video is to explain the importance of timely lead response in today's fast-paced business world. So let me explain to you what the 5-minute rule is, what it is, and why it matters. So the 5-minute rule is that you have to respond to a lead, not within a day, not within a few hours, but within 5 minutes in order to maximize your opportunity to get the greatest conversion rates for your practice, right? So now MIT did a study where they identified how quickly people responded to leads, right? And what we found is that there was a huge discrepancy in terms of how long it took different industries to respond to leads. Healthcare was well over 2 hours, right? Now, they're actually one of the worst offenders in the speed to lead race. But what we want to do for our customer is to respond within 5 minutes. Why? Because that same study from MIT demonstrated without a shadow of a doubt that if you respond to leads within 5 minutes of their inquiry, you have a chance of increasing your conversion rate by 80%. You know what that means? Is that all the last 20 years that I've been spending actually training people how to do better questions, how to respond to objections, how to be friendlier on the phone, all of that was really not as important as actually getting back to leads within 5 minutes. So why does the 5-minute rule matter? Well, number one, it's about instant gratification. So what's the psychology behind instant gratification? Essentially, most people don't really like to delay gratification, right? You put a bunch of donuts in front of somebody, most people are going to say, I'm going to grab that donut and I'm going to eat it, as opposed to waiting for later until the good food arrives. That's what people do. They just basically go for instant gratification wherever they can. They don't want to expend effort. They don't want to sacrifice, right? So responding to leads within 5 minutes caters to that need for instant gratification, and it increases the chances of a successful sales interaction. Number one, not only are you responding to that instant gratification need, number two, you are actually getting that person on the line in a conversation before they've had a chance to go somewhere else to fulfill that need for instant gratification. Now, what's really valuable about this is the fact that you can stay really farther ahead than the competition, which actually can make up for a lot of deficiencies in any of the other aspects of your service. For example, you might be a higher price. Well, it really doesn't matter because you've actually been able to contact that lead within 5 minutes, while all the other competition is waiting for hours and hours, potentially days, to respond to that lead. Whether your price is higher or not, chances are that whoever has that interaction with that lead first is going to get them off the bus, into their practice, and have that conversation that will lead eventually to a patient conversion. Now, many different companies have different response times. I would suggest that in refractive surgery, the response time is actually crazily slow. When I have a conversation with a refractive surgeon and ask them, how soon do you take to get back to leads? They'll typically say, probably 1 or 2. I'm like, 1 or 2 minutes? No, they're like 1 or 2 days. So look, this is an amazing source of competitive advantage for your business. If you can just get back to leads within 5 minutes, you've really won the race before it's even got started. Now, one of the things that responding to a lead really quickly does is it creates an instant trust and credibility in how oriented your practice is towards customer service. It simply demonstrates that you care to be responsive, right? Now, in my view, if a salesperson is unresponsive, I only wonder how their customer fulfillment team is going to be when they don't need my money anymore. I mean, just the other day, I went by a restaurant, right? We stood in front of the restaurant, we looked at the menu, and we were looking around to see if somebody would help us. There were several different servers walking by, not a hostess in sight. We waited roughly about 3 minutes. And after 3 minutes, we just looked at each other and said, if this is how long it takes us to actually welcome us into their business and sit us down even before we order, imagine how long it's going to take to get our food, right? So immediately we decided, next, let's move on to the next restaurant down the street. Turns out we went to the next restaurant down the street. We actually sat down pretty much instantly, laid down 200 pounds of dinner that restaurant that we went to initially, which might have been better, which might have looked a lot nicer, and which we might have wanted to go to in the first instance, they missed out on. So it's the same thing with your practice. Now, just imagine if you responded to every lead within 5 minutes. Just imagine what it would do to your conversion rate. Just imagine, for example, you had 80% more conversions, right, than you currently do. So if you had 10 conversions this month, you'd end up with 18 conversions, right? Now, let's say out of those 10 conversions, typically you get 5 surgeries on the other end. So that might equal, say, 5 times 5,000, you've made 25,000 pounds. That's nice. But let's say you go to 18, right? And out of 18, you get 9. 9 times 5 is 40,000 pounds. So that's a significant difference. Everything else being equal, about how much money you've generated, most of it going to the top line and then definitely going down to the bottom line once you pass break-even point, just by responding within 5 minutes. So really, if you think about it, responding within 5 minutes to every single lead is worth thousands and thousands of pounds for your practice. In fact, the bigger you are, the more volume you do, the more important and more valuable it is to your business. So many practices ask me, how can I go about implementing that 5-minute rule? I mean, it sounds great, but my team just is too busy dealing with customers, dealing with patients. You know, many times they're not even in, sometimes they're on the phone. How do I actually go about responding to leads within 5 minutes, as you suggest, in order to get this incredible value on the other side? Well, I'll tell you how. With Hattie, you can respond to leads within 5 minutes. If they fill in a form, Hattie will respond on your behalf using automation to respond to that lead within 5 minutes. If they complete a self-test, Hattie will respond on your behalf with automation, informed by the self-test results within 5 minutes. If they call you and you're busy on the line, Hattie will respond via text, even though you missed the call, within 5 minutes. So really the rule here is not just 5-minute window, but the underlying outcome is that no lead gets left behind. So in conclusion, 5-minute rule, you got to get back to leads within 5 minutes. If you don't, you're missing out potentially on 80% of your conversions. That is the first thing you have to do before any sales training, before improving your service, before anything else. Really just make sure that you're responding to leads within 5 minutes. That alone is going to get you in the game, again, before all the other competitors have even woken up and realized that there's a game on, right? So get back to your leads within 5 minutes and use systems that enable you to do that. And again, the best way to do that is using a system like Hattie that will respond to those leads within 5 minutes, not only when your team is busy, not only when your team is distracted by doing the services to other patients, but 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even on evenings and even on weekends, so that no lead gets left behind and you're always responding within that 5-minute rule.
Are you ready or considering taking your practice to the next level? If you are, then I've got a simple 15-minute exercise for you. The best thing for you to do is to have a chat. What we'll do is we'll figure out exactly where you are, what your challenges are, where you'd like to get to. And at the end of that, I'll be able to really clearly let you know if there are some things that we believe that at a world-class level, you're leaving on the table. So nothing ventured, nothing gained. Find out if you're leaving money on the table and if there's things that you can do in the next 2 years to double your practice. I look forward to meeting you.